It's 6 p.m. I'd like to open the meeting of the Maple Run Unified School District Board of Directors for Wednesday, May 1st. The time is 6 p.m. and we are at the Maple Run Unified School District Central Office Boardroom. Perfect. All right. First item on the agenda is the agenda review. Are there any revisions that we need to make to this agenda? It's Joanna. Excuse me.
She's on the line.
She's here, so I guess she's...
Yeah, there she is. Yeah.
All right, cool. Hearing none, the agenda is accepted without objection. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I apologize for not standing. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we're up to the visitor section of our agenda. Are there visitors in the room that wish to address the school board? And if there are, raise your hand and let me know that's why you're here. If there are visitors online that wish to address the school board, please put your name in the chat so that we know that's what you're interested in. Okay, hearing none from either, seeing none from either, where it is. Okay, we're going to skip through the visitor section since no one wishes to address the board at this time. Moving on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda has the approval of the minutes from the two meetings on the 17th and also the media packet. Anyone need to pull anything out for discussion? Hearing none, the consent agenda is accepted without objection. Moving on, we're going to go to the reports to the board. First set of reports to the board are the student board representative report. We have student reps here. We have Leah and, help me? Sarah. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Leah Fitzgerald. I'm a senior at BFA. For our report tonight, I don't have much extra to talk about, but I'm always happy to fill the void. Talking about doing our interviews that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, trying to interview some of the students that we might have missed back when we were doing our listening sessions. So again, we're just asking students what they love about BFA, what could be improved, and hoping to again get some more data and also give that experience to you all. So we've been working really hard with students as well, which is so amazing that it's all student led, and I hope that when we see the interviews, it'll really just show everyone how important student voice is and how much we really care about it. The interviews are quite long. They said that one of them was just like 6 minutes long, and we've gotten a lot of kids to really speak up and speak out about their experiences at the high school, and hopefully that can be inspiring to everyone to hear. So we're excited for that to be presented to the board before the school year ends. So we've been really working hard on that, and there's a lot of good things going on, which is great to wrap up our year, and soon there's going to be some new faces. So we're looking forward to adding some new freshmen and sophomores and even juniors to our group to get some more and just continuation of the group and the longevity of things. It's something important and that's going on in BFA is talking about leadership groups. Is they're trying to bring together all the leaderships, councils, and kind of rework how that looks in the high school to kind of get some more uniform and some greater communication between these groups, between like student council and athletic council and all the different councils, and kind of unite them in a more common goal. and kind of almost get some more like bigger, grander things, rolling. Jenny's a word.
Yeah, I would echo that. I would say that I think a lot of the leadership groups don't know what we do, and they don't really meet with each other to talk about common goals, and they don't really know what all the other groups do. And so I think it would be really good to have these meetings so that we can collaborate and grow as a school.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for the student reps? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to move on to staffing updates. You have an attachment in your packet, attachment 6B, and we have Becky here to report on it. Thank you.
Hello. I'm really happy to share with everyone that our fiscal year 25 teacher contracts, we've received 97% of our contracts were returned for this year. And you'll be able to see on the bar chart the number of contracts that were distributed by location and the number of contracts that were returned by location. I think that's really important to have that visibility. We're in a really good place. This is the earliest and the quickest turnaround time that we have seen this number of contracts returned. And that, as someone new in HR to Maple Run, that is a very welcoming sign, right, to see that number of returns. Comparatively, I wanted to share with you verbally the ESP contracts, our education support positions, professionals. We have a 97.6% return of those contracts as well. We distributed the contracts for our teachers on March 25th, and within that same week, we distributed the contracts for our ESPs, and it was again that same type of return, very quick, very positive to see that. I also, on the next slide, wanted to share some of our recruiting efforts, our current job opportunities, what we're posting. You'll see that we have 31 positions that we've posted on this bar chart, and that's a good indicator. Compared to last year, we had about 28 or 29 positions that were posted, and it's a mix of positions for a variety of reasons, many of which are retirements, and then a few resignations, obviously. Again, I can't emphasize enough, we're in a really good spot. Reviewing all of the applications that come in, I have that opportunity to have that high-level view, and we're getting 33 applications for a position. We're seeing 27 applications, 14 applications, and then a few of them onesie-twosies, right? So it's a broad range, but it's a very heartening sign to see that we've got that many applications that are coming in. Questions? Great.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you.
Sorry, I
Yes.
have one question. Just to make sure that I'm getting the jar, for current job opportunities, the stuff that's listed as backfill, is that stuff that we were waiting to fill, we were trying to fill through the school year?
No, so my language is backfill. That's someone who's departing that role for whatever reason, resignation. We're backfilling. We're looking to hire to fill that
So
position.
it's a departing person that we're looking to replace?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. Old business. We have plans for meeting board goals. So our board goals you have a copy of on attachment 7A. And we talked about doing some board education. I'm going to turn it over to Bill so we can take us through potential plan.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, we did some board education beginning of April that we did over Zoom in a board education center that had both, had some pieces on administrator contracts and on process that you need for legal to for reminding folks of a legal hearing for the board that they were conducting later that week. It seemed pretty successful to me, and some of the feedback that I got that doing these educational sessions over Zoom was helpful. It made it doable. And so we had this list, we've looked at this list the past couple of meetings that you developed as a board and ranking some of the possibilities. We're ready to get going on this list, and what I just wanted to confirm with the board tonight was if we did them on, and I'm gonna suggest this out, but I'm up for ideas as well, is it being a Monday from either 6 to 7 or 7 to 8, either the third Monday of the month or the fourth Monday of the month. The third would be the same week as our third meeting. The fourth would be a week that we don't have a meeting. So I'm looking for feedback from the board, what would be the best time to set these, and we do one a month and then not do them during July, and just start to have different folks. It wouldn't be me, it'd be other people coming in from the district to talk about. And the picture of that is back the first meeting of April, John was here with some coaches to talk about curriculum development. So it may not happen here in May, but it would be starting to schedule people that could come and talk, that work within the system to talk about these topics. So if it sounded like there was support for that from the last meeting. So my big question is a Monday a good day? And if Monday's a good day, is 6 or 7 o'clock for an hour? Which one's the better starting hour? And then after we set that, is it having it on the third week of the month or the fourth week of the month? I'm just trying to nail it down so I can start getting people scheduled.
Joanna has a question. Joanna?
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Just weighing in, Monday would not be a preferred day for me. I don't know how other people feel about just tacking it on to prior to our meeting, unless people want to meet on a separate day altogether.
Right. I think the thought was to do this via Zoom so people would not have to travel in or rush from, their work or wherever they are before they come here. Any other commentary? Is Monday a nightmare for everybody, or?
That's either day for me.
I'd like to keep it the same week, so I'm not forgetting.
So like the third week. So it's on the same week.
So we have a week off.
Yeah, Marion, I hear you. I'm right there with you on that.
So Joanna, if we did it via Zoom, is that preventing, helping you get there, or is that still a big problem?
It's a personal thing. I have a prayer commitment on Monday nights at 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Because we could do it at 7 too. But, I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like it works for everyone, that's why I'm.
Okay. I might just be coming in late.
Can we do 7?
Does 7 help you, Joanna? Or 7:30?
Is 7 or 7:30 better?
I mean, 7:30 is best, but I don't know how other people feel about I don't have young children anymore, so I don't know how other people feel about that.
Like I said, we could do this by Zoom, so people don't have to leave home. And some of these sessions will be longer than others too, right? Some of them
I'm
are
trying to
quick.
keep it to an hour.
Right, no longer than
No
that.
longer than an hour.
7:30 works.
Does 7:30 work for everybody?
Same
I
week.
mean, I can also just come in late, so, and you can start at 7.
Well, if 7:30 works and it accommodates you, Joanna, I mean, that's kind of the way to go, I think.
Yeah.
All right, here's the other big question. The third or the fourth Monday?
I heard a strong preference for keeping everything on I see some nods and I heard some vocalization of keeping it the same week, so we have all in 1 week.
Okay, so we're looking at third?
Third is so I have Monday, third week of the month, Monday, 7:30, and it probably won't start this month, but I can't see that for sure.
So and I'm not looking at the calendar, so I could be wrong, but I believe that for our June meeting, we moved from the 19th to the 26th. So if we're trying to keep them on the same track as, on the same week as our meeting, then I believe we might need to do
Fourth on that way?
Yeah, I could be, actually, as I
17th.
speak it, I seem to be doing my math wrong, so.
That's graduation.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
last day.
let me work out with Aaron and I'll give you a schedule and we'll figure it, we'll get this set. Okay.
You're talking about May?
No, I'm talking about June. So, we'll look at that, Charlie, we'll put something together, so we can get all the dates, we'll get calendar invites to everyone, and make sure that's all set. Okay,
Okay. Thank you all for that.
thank you.
Next item on the agenda is an action item, and it's related to the St. Louis Town Educational Center parking lot. There's information on attachment 7B. We're looking for a motion first to use the capital reserve funds in the amount of $238,000. There's $2 signs, right, in my agreement? $238,000, is that correct?
Yes, there are $2.
Okay, you're trying to trick me there. $238,000 to complete the project approved at the April 3rd, 2024 board meeting. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Jack. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Kumara.
Brianna,
Say what?
Brianna can speak to it.
Yeah.
Oh, Brianne, yeah, please speak to the issue before us.
Okay. So we brought this to you last month and you approved it. And we needed to amend the motion because the project is going to be started before June 30th, but because they need to have a solid base for the parking lot, they're going to start the project, before June 30th, as soon as school lets out, and then they are going to then pave in late July, early August, depending on the weather. So we're asking to have it paid out of the capital reserve fund for the amount that's going to be charged in FY25.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay, we're going to take a roll vote. So, those in favor of the motion signify by saying yes. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Nikuma?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Hilda votes yes. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the board retreat. So contrary to what this agenda says, we are definitely going to start our board retreat at 5 o'clock. It was a request by our facilitator that we have sort of a working dinner so we can eat and work at the same time. And it's not going to be like, I think it's a small group kickoff kind of thing that we'll be doing at that. So our retreat is going to start at 5 o'clock. It's at the Greg Brown Lodge on Hardak, and it should go until 8:30. And I believe that Aaron is going to send out a communication to you to find out menu choices, whatever we're doing on that. So this is basically just to reiterate that that's what's going on. Any questions? Thank you all. So the next item is the strategic plan, which again is also an action item. We reviewed it last meeting. It's attachment 7D. I've had some discussion with board members a little bit about this, and there are some questions about the lingo in the strategic plan, especially newer board members who weren't familiar with the whole workup of how we got from there to here. Everybody has had pieces and parts of it along the way, but not necessarily understanding the whole thing. One of the things that Bill and I talked about is to come up with a glossary or a definitions list of things like, the common languages that you guys use all the time, but making sure that we have a common definition of it so people aren't confused, equity, equality, all the buzzwords, and I hate to use the term buzzwords, but they kind of are buzzwords that are in the document. Sometimes jargon ends up meaning different things to different people. And I'm concerned that we're gonna have 10 different definitions of words. So Bill is going to do that for us, probably not for tonight, because we only talked about it yesterday. But we're gonna add that as a, whatever, an appendix or prefix to the document once it gets worked out. So I'm asking board members too, if you have any terms that you would like explained that are in that document, please send them along to Bill, and if you could copy me also, that would be great, just so I know what it is we're looking for. But Bill's gonna review the strategic plan, again, not in great detail, because we did already do that, but I want to have people have the opportunity to understand how we got here, and sort of the flow of all this information and how we are here. It would be great if we can approve it tonight, but I also understand that if we're gonna wait for an appendix page, we might wanna wait 2 weeks and table it and approve it in 2 weeks. And that gives everybody an opportunity to sort of contemplate everything about it, talk to any people that they feel they need to talk to for clarity. So what I'd like to propose is that we do the review, and I'm not gonna take a motion right now to either approve it or anything until we get to the end of the review. And I don't know if I broke every Robert's rule in the world there by doing that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And sorry about that, but I am. And then we'll decide after we go through this review whether we're gonna vote on approval or vote to table. Does that work for people? Does that make sense? I went through and tried to look at the document myself, and there's a term over here that I noticed. Social and emotional learning, or SEL, okay? It's in this document like 15 times, and I was telling Bill, I remember like 6 or 7 years ago, when Kevin Jareth was still the superintendent, and everybody kept talking about SEL. And finally one day I just kind of like raised my hand. I think I was a chair too, and I was like, felt stupid. But I said, what is SEL? Of course everybody like, she doesn't know what that is, but I didn't, so how would I assume that everybody here actually really knows what that is? I'm sure many of you do, but that's one of the words that we would like to try to get defined in a packet. That's just one for example. And now that I've said all that, I'm going to turn it over to Bill.
Thank you, Nelda.
Sure.
I think that was great. That was a great introduction after our conversation yesterday. And I really appreciate the idea of let's have a glossary of terms so we're all talking language. Any technical profession, Charlie, you and I were talking about this yesterday, any technical profession has its technical terms that can trip up others who are trying to learn about the profession. So I thought that was very profound what you were saying. I was saying it was education. You said, no, it's everything. It's everything. So what I would ask you to do is we look at this, and there's a couple pages I'm going to go into some detail on, which is more of the process. But when we review each one, if you have a handout and you just want to underline, or if I stop and say, is there anything on this page, Aaron and I are trying to capture which words they are, and then we'll get a list definition. It's going to take the leadership team to put this together, because I'm going to go right off your social emotional learning piece. Well, I think I know what that is. Alexis Hoyt and her work with the SEL committee, they're the experts for us, so I'd really like them to define it. So it's going to, putting together a glossary isn't a 24-hour activity. It's got to happen. It needs to be a collaborative and done with many people within the district. So it's not something that just one person can sit down and bring. And I think it's an excellent idea.
I'm glad we're talking about it this way, because I think in the end we're going to have a better product, and a product that everybody can stand behind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it was a great idea. Let's get some terms. Figure this out. Okay, so Travis is going to help me out here. So I'm really going to put a lot of my time in the first 3 pages here, but I think it's really good for those who have, some of you have been through this all the way, as Nilda referenced, have been along the whole time and hearing about this, and for some of you this is brand new. But over the past 2 years we've had a lot of community engagement into either the goals or the strategic plan, or both, by some members of our community. And as Leah and Sarah were just talking about, they've done a lot of work, the students have done a lot of work to collect data from their fellow students, not just at BFA, but at the 3 other pre-K-8 schools over the past 2 years to really get the data about, and the questions have been really, what's working well, what can be improved, and for students who have historically been disadvantaged, what supports do we need to put in place? Those have been the 3 big driver questions that we started almost 2 years ago with. And we asked that to parents, students, staff, community members. What is that? And so over the year, the first year we heard from about 150 people. As you can see up there were 90 students, 60 community members. We publicized it all over part. I think Kakuma, you were part of a bunch of that as well. And then this year, it's actually expanded more because our community sessions for strategic planning, we had about 40, 50 people at the first community gathering. At the second one, we probably had about 30. And I failed to mention that we had a summit a year ago from a year previous to right now, it was in April, so it was 2023 where we had about 40 people. And Liz, you were part of that. You've been part of the steering committee of this whole thing as well. So a lot of different stakeholders have been represented. And I would actually say at our December gathering, we had probably, I know we had at least one political representative from town government, from Fairfield Town and City in that community forum. It was great. We had select board or planning commission. Not all of our select board or planning commission, but that's what we had. We had a strategic action plan development group, committee that has worked from the fall through the spring that's guided this whole process of all this. So if you look on, if you can go to the next slide, Travis, these next 2 slides are a timeline to really kind of show that work and how that started. So in June 2022, this board formed a subcommittee to develop goals for the district. And that was made up not only of board members, but community members. And then from there, so we partnered with Creative Discourse Group to have community listening sessions through the fall of 2022. Another committee was formed that had students, staff, parents, community members on it to design a summit, which was done on April 15, 2023. And in September 2023, this board adopted the 5 goals for the district. And from there, we said, the board said we need to develop a strategic plan to implement those goals. And so that developed another committee that was made up of students, staff, community members, administrators. Administrators weren't on the first group for the goals. And to develop a process for developing a strategic plan. If you can go to the next slide. Travis, this gets really into the detail of the work of that committee. They started meeting in October and in November to get ready for a community forum on the 2nd. We had a great pancake breakfast to start that day, which was great. We had a lot of people come in and give a lot of great feedback to the plan. From there, that developed the plan that we had. And we had 2 meetings, one in January and one in February. In January, we probably had, under each goal area, there were probably, I'm going to be a little facetious here, but probably at least 10 different things to do. And it was just too fine-grained for a strategic plan. So what happened between January and February was trying to consolidate it down that you'll see in each of the goal areas to 2 or 3 big, maybe 4 big actions. And Jack, you were part of that, so if I'm missing something here, and Leah and Sarah were part of that, and Liz, so jump in here if I'm missing something that doesn't capture what we did. And then that came back to say, we wanted the second community forum in March really to say, did we get everything that we captured from December, or did it get into the plan? And that was the process. And then we presented it to the board on the 17th to bring it here for adoption. And I'm saying it's mine, because I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for the organization. My hope for this plan is that this is really an important piece to really drive the work. I've heard that from the board as well, that having these goals would be a way of accountability for the work in which we do, and how do we, well, not only look at the work we're doing, but how do we resource the district? So This is a pretty foundational, and we'll have another piece later on in new business that I'll be asking a question to you as a board via our mission that's up on the wall there via this plan. Because I think it's really important that all this is in alignment. So I'm going to pause there. I went through the process, but I wanted to ask if there were any questions from any of the board members about the process that we went through to develop this. Jack?
I'd just like to make a comment. Being the youngest person here, I've been to many, many board meetings, been working in many districts. And I was really impressed with the fact that this board, with Bill's leadership, got the community involved. And doing that, it becomes very tricky because people are coming to the meetings from all different job experiences, life experiences, and so forth. But through that, we came up with this work. And I would just like to commend this district, our district. I think we need a pat on the back because this was a great achievement as far as I'm concerned. Because it's not so easy bringing all those people together. And the most important thing is we had students there. And the students had great comments and oftentimes kind of steered the adults in the right direction. You know, it was really kind of an amazing thing. So I just wanted to give a shout out and commend the community and the superintendent and the school board for this leadership that created this work. And I always look at work like this as working documents that you don't just create it and then it's just there. You keep looking at it, you keep working, keep adding. And I also agree with the jargon issue because even though I've had a lot of experience saying all kinds of acronyms and jargon and everything else, I have to relearn them myself because you get to be my age, you start forgetting stuff. So that's important so that the public can really understand what we're talking about.
I also want to echo that because I remember when we first started, I was part of the Goals Committee when we originally started, and we didn't even, it transitioned into bringing the community in. That wasn't our initial plan. And I really like that the leadership of the school district allowed us to take it on to the community when that was done. Because originally we were going to have portrait of graduate, and that's what we were going with, and then we took a turn and said, let's bring everybody in. And so it's really nice that we were able to bring so many stakeholders in to the conversation, and it wasn't just very top-heavy on the conversation, where a lot of times these strategic plans end up being very top-heavy. And so really, it's really nice to see it from where we started, portrait of graduate, to where it is now, how far it's come. I'm really excited to see it go forward.
Okay to go forward? Are we all good? Okay, I'm going to deliberately pause like this because I want to make sure we can clarify any questions. And there's no small question. There isn't any question that's unimportant, so ask them, please. We want to make sure because this is, as we talked about in the board goals, it's your job, the board's job to monitor the district on our goals work. So I want to make sure you all understand that. So on the next slide, you'll just see the strategic goal. It doesn't have it just has the 5 areas of rigorous academics and expectations, constant policies to address bias and behavior issues, support services for students and families, opportunities for family, community engagement, and community education and action on inclusion. So those are the 5 areas that came out of the work. And what I'm going to do, instead of reading through each one, I'm going to go through each goal area, talk a little bit about the goal, but then have you have a chance, and I'm going to deliberately pause so you can look over the next 2 sheets and say, is there anything here that for you, you may know the definition, but you might say, it's hard for me as the educator because I've looked at this so many times to say, of course I know what social emotional learning is. Well, I'm assuming a lot that way, and that's my bias that I need to put aside. So I need the help of you as board members to say, hey, this is probably something we should define. So I'm gonna go right now to the goal of rigorous academic expectations. The goal statement is all students feel challenged and supported to excel in the traditional and non-traditional learning opportunities based on their individual needs and strengths. And so 2 of the words here that I can see in the definition, traditional and non-traditional. The traditional is usually thought of as a classroom graded practice, pre-K through 12. Non-traditional is learning somewhere outside of that classroom experience. A lot of times in our area we think of CTE, which is Center for Technology Centers, as in Northwest Career and Technical Center. But that's only one of many non-traditional paths. There are many others as well. So those are ones that I would see right away in the goal statement that should be defined.
Project SOAR, is that a non-traditional?
That would be a non-traditional, that would be an outside. In my mind, but I want to ask my colleagues on the leadership team, not tonight, because I don't think I should be making any of those decisions in the silo. So any of those words you say, I need some more definition, we would work on for you for the next meeting.
Hey, Bill.
Yes, Joanna.
I think just Nilda's point right there when she just asked the question about SOAR,
Yeah.
that maybe we could, as we're defining these words, maybe we could provide examples.
Okay. Good point. Yep.
So almost like a frequently asked question. So when we say all students, who are we talking about here?
Yep.
We could just kind of put that within the definition.
Yep.
So I'm just,
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
It's a great suggestion.
I'm just going through like some
Yeah.
of the things that I think should go in the glossary. I don't know if you want me to
Yeah, just say that.
be personalized or just dump them on you at the end.
I'd rather have you do it per slide as we're going through it, because I see you circle it, so I can circle it.
Traditional and non-traditional.
Yeah.
I also, it would be useful to put in curriculum and transferable skills.
Yeah. Anything else on any of these slides?
I don't know much about SOAR,
Okay,
so can you just quickly explain what?
SOAR is
I know it's an alternative school, but.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to ask you want to speak to it or you want me to speak to it since you're here. Andrea is our special ed
Hi,
director.
Andrea, Director of Special Ed. SOAR is an alternative
Yeah.
placement for students who are not succeeding in the traditional general education.
Back in the day, I would have been there. How many students attend?
I don't have the numbers. Are you asking from our district specifically or in the SOAR program? Because it's through NCSS. NCSS runs the program, and so they take applications from the regional schools. It's not just Maple Run. Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's another term too.
Yeah.
Sorry, NCSS is Northwest Counseling Support Services, which is our designated mental health agency for the region.
We good with this page? Okay, I'm going to do this because I just want to make sure we capture it, and it does. And as Nilda said, if there's something afterwards you think about, just email both of us and say, hey, here's another word as I was looking this over. So this is not your last chance. There can be others. So the next one, we had the action steps, resources needed, and evidence. A lot of this is, as you can see, is around having high quality staff and making sure everyone's a lifelong learner. So just having that time. And then high expectations with high supports. And then you see the social emotional learning, which I'll circle already because that's been one that's put up here. Transferable skills has already been looked at. It was one that Charlie, you said, so it's okay. Jess, if you want to use my office. Go ahead, Charlie. Yeah.
A few more that I circled is content areas, lighthouse, and life skills. And if it seems like I'm being simple, then okay.
I'd rather have over-defined, more terms defined than leaving it for ambiguity. We'll move on to the next page. I do think it's important to read this, and I do really want to point this one out. This is one that we had a couple of suggestions for. You've adopted, what's here in the black, you adopted as the sentence behind the consistent policies to address bias and behavior. And the steering committee for the strategic plan said after they worked with it, they said, we need to add 2 words, and so they're in red. They would, and that's a suggestion to the board because you're the ones that have the authority to change the goal statement, not the strategic. But after working, they said, could we, instead of just saying procedures, could we have Maple run policies and procedures on harassment and discipline are consistently applied while ensuring support and respecting victims and all involved. And I bet ones that need to be defined are hazing, harassment, bullying, Title IX are 2 that I would bet.
I would say policy and procedures also.
Okay. And I like Joanna's idea of examples, because that could be some examples, especially around policies and procedures.
I think stakeholders could arguably be defined just so that people, if they're asking the question, am I a stakeholder?
Yep.
And bias in general, that's a whole, I don't necessarily think that people always realize that everyone's got biases and everyone,
Biases or
or
prejudices.
prejudices, yeah, it'll, and I don't know if that discussion can be fit into a glossary, but
It might be a dissertation.
yeah, that's a whole other thing, so I don't know if it would go in a glossary or if it would just be something where we have resources talking about bias,
Okay.
available to people.
Yeah. We good on this page? Okay, next page. Consistent.
I guess with Title IX, with
Yep.
what's happened nationally in the last few days,
Yeah,
we really need to drill down on
can you tell me what you mean the past few days?
what the president has
Yeah,
done with the executive order.
yeah.
Um,
We don't know much about it.
I know,
It's got 1,000
I
pages coming at us.
think it's gonna be a changing, evolving thing, and I don't wanna have it be set in stone when it could change any given day.
Right, yeah, no, it could. And one of the things, yeah, we
And-
go through our legal,
Yeah,
in Vermont, through our work with VISBIT, which is our insurance, we do a training through to be our attorney as well as their attorney to train us all on how to do our work with Title IX. So we've been told already, like, just hold on.
good. Okay.
Hold on, we'll get you the training, you don't need it till next school year, don't
All right.
panic. So,
That was my caution.
yeah.
So I'm okay that I have no idea what you're talking about.
Title IX is a federal law that
I know what
tells.
Title IX is, I mean, I was talking about the executive order.
Oh, so there was an order that came out on Monday from President Biden, changing how we deal with our procedures for dealing with Title IX instances for sexual harassment, or potential sexual harassment.
You know, this big.
Yeah, and it was over 1,000 pages worth of rules, of new rules and procedures that came out. And that's why we do this work as Vermont as a state, because it's just that we have to work together.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. On the next page. There's some Title IX in there. I see some of the same social emotional learnings there, but is there something as you look at that that's new?
Restorative practices.
Okay, yep.
I have code of conduct.
Okay.
In the middle column, the last bullet point, pyramid, responsive classroom, second step are all,
Those are our programs.
Yeah.
But we could probably say something like programs such as,
yeah, yeah,
would that work, or we just are trying to list different types of programs?
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be, I don't know if there's, like, if, I would assume that the programs have, like, website or something that you could find more information. If there's like a hyperlink or something that people could, you know, like if I wanted to see what pyramid is, click there and hopefully get a description of that.
Yep, okay. Any other suggestions on this page? Okay, great, this is working well, at least for me. Support services for students and families. All students at each school have access to supports, individual learning opportunities, and flexible pathways.
I think giving examples of like the flexible pathways and individualized learning opportunities is a lot ambiguous.
Yeah, so some examples for that?
Yeah.
Yep,
Once I
Okay.
understand kind of what is available for the kids.
okay. Good with the rest of that page? Okay, the next page, support services for students and families. I'll have you look through this. I think one of the things that I see here, and it's what two-way communication means. That's a jargon in the communication world around that it's both sides are talking to each other and listening to what we could give an example of that.
Bill?
Yes.
Like, if you're looking at action steps,
Yeah,
and you look at the last one where it talks about, you know, providing a range of supports, and I see that you're writing academic, behavioral, social, and emotional, and then it also mentions external supports. So again, if you wanted there to be able to put some examples of possible external supports that we utilize with MRUSD.
excellent.
And I would just like to second, I mean, I have no doubt that you guys will put it together well, but I think it's a great idea that Charlie had probably already on it in terms of, you know, hyperlinks, right? So then you don't have to have an actual glossary, but it could bring you to, when you, especially if you're looking at the external supports, you know, whether that be NCSS or, I'm drawing a blank here, or
Department of Health,
Department of Health,
Social
sure.
Work,
You know, you could just have those right
CDOs.
there.
CDO. I always have a hard time with this acronym, but.
CDO. No, CDO.
Thank you, I have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
I know what it is. Yeah. But you know, you're right, those are good examples, Joy. Thank you. We all good with this page? All right. Opportunities for family and community engagement. All community members will have the opportunity to engage safely with the school and district through two-way communication and feel welcome in our school system.
Do we already have two-way communication?
I did, I got that on the last page, yep. We did. But I think it's a good catch.
Can we add school system? Right now it's in our system, and I think we got that definition of school system. It doesn't have to define system, but it's school
Yeah.
system. Right?
What is it that you want to add?
And so, because it says welcome in our system, not school system. So either if we're gonna do system, define what the system is, or add school system.
Or add school.
Yeah.
Should be district or system.
District, yep. We'll look at that, if it should be district or should it be school system. Yep, good question. Excellent. Anything else on this page? Okay. Opportunity, then I'm gonna go on to the next, the action steps that are here, and I'll just have you take a look at it again. This is great, I can already see how we want to refine this document. not just definitions, but a couple of things you said.
What about the not historically been part of? What is, give an example of that.
So I'll give you an example of one that stands out in my career. I was probably second year as a superintendent, and I had a child that was very young in grade level. I can probably say the grade level here because it's been many years, but it was a second grade student who was having a hard time coming to school, and when coming to school was very, very challenged. I wanted to sit down with the parents to say, how could we find a way to help your child re-engage and support you? I found out that the mother was a dropout of our high school and couldn't enter, was terrified to enter our schools. So we found actually a local church that was a place for us to meet. And so she's historically, because many of our dropouts have fears of school. And when they become parents, that fear gets passed on, unfortunately. And so how do we help them become, and so they're historically marginalized. We could talk about other systems where we've historically marginalized others, but that's just one example that stands out for me. And so we want to be inclusive and take anyone that's had that history, whether it comes from a educational experience, poverty, racial, anything, and say, how do we make you feel more welcomed in our school system? And that's not an easy task, that's a really high bar, from my experience. So onto the second page, do you see anything here that might need to be defined or examples put through?
Civil discourse.
Civil discourse, okay. The board actually adopted something last year in June about civil discourse and how it will work respectfully, so that might be a good thing to link to.
Yeah, that's a very broad term.
Yep, I think it's that board, what you adopted as a board to say this is how we'll work together when you are in our school system, so yeah.
You could also link to, just a chain of command.
Yep.
In terms of somebody has a question with a teacher or with an administrator or whatnot.
That's a good point, Joanne, to have it linked to the policy that says how we try to resolve conflict at the lowest level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent.
I think collaborative decision-making models is one of those phrases that if you look at it and break it down, makes sense going through it, but if you're kind of like looking at it in a sentence, can kind of seem like too big a concept for someone to get their head around, if that makes sense.
So we can provide some examples there and a definition. Good? All right. Two more pages to go. All students, community education and action on inclusion. All students have meaningful, equitable, structured, and consistent education that embeds skill building regarding diversity, inclusion, and equity. So I can imagine some of these.
All those words.
All those words, there's a lot of words in there, which is diversity, inclusion, and equity.
It should be DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion,
Yeah.
to stay consistent with the acronym.
Yeah, okay.
I think even defining the word structured, because we talked about at the beginning about the little pathways, to understand that the structured aspect of education doesn't negate the fact that kids can have their own pathways too. The structure just seems like the kids are kind of straight and narrow,
Yeah.
so defining what that actually means.
Okay.
Joanne's got a question?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Sorry, Joanne, I'm looking down the table.
No, you don't need to be sorry. When we're done with this one, can we go back to the last one for a moment?
Yeah, as soon as we finish this page. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
So I've got structured diversity, inclusion, equity, and reworded so it's in order of the acronym of DEI.
It is below, but not on top.
Not up top, so good catch, Marianne. It needs to go in the. But,
Did somebody identify what all the protected classes are?
Not
No.
yet.
Not yet, but we can go to that legal definition.
What's in there?
There's a Vermont one and then there's a national one. Anything else on this page? Okay. Tell me if I'm going too fast. So Joanne, I want to make sure I capture your comment from the previous page.
Yeah, and I don't know, Bill, if this is, my, where I'm going is necessary for now, or if it's more of a brainstorming thing in terms of action steps. But, we had talked in the past about having almost parent mentors, right? That you were talking about that one woman who had that experience in her own education experience. And so, we have, the board and the administration has access to a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Are there resources that we could put out there for parents and students in terms of educational law that they could utilize?
Yes, there's a, yeah.
And educational and special education law also, so people understand what their rights are, and they have, just go-to resources to be able to access them.
Right, and I think I'm not sure that that's under an action step as much as it is, when I think about the previous goal around support services, so like for Vermont Family Legal Aid would be a great one that families have access to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so that's part of our communicating all those supports to families.
Right.
Yeah. So I think we're both saying the same thing, as you said, it may not be in this, but it's a part of what we're doing when we're providing all those supports to parents and where knowledge about where to get those supports for themselves.
Right, and I guess the stumbling block for me is that, yes, we want to promote two-way communication, but how do you promote two-way communication to folks who don't feel comfortable participating in that communication? So are there resources for people to access to bolster their confidence in communicating, or, mentors for them to have to help support their communication?
And there are some, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I know we do
That's
have,
fine. Just throwing it out.
Yeah, no, but those are the types of things when we say we're providing supports to families, we have to have a place where to access that in our communities. So
Great.
we're saying the same thing. Yep.
Yep, thanks.
So I'm going to move on to the action steps for community education and action on inclusion. I'll have you look through this page and see if there's anything you would. Anything here? Charlie?
I've got cultural responsiveness and trauma learning,
Okay.
and as a grammar police or formatting police
Please
thing,
help.
incorporate students in leading. It needs to be its own bullet point.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yes? We good with this? I don't want to push you too fast.
What is it, about the Abenaki land acknowledgements, why is that specifically pulled out there?
That's a good question. We've had a lot of talks when we were doing this about, because for a while we had a lot about, we had some other places, and this goal particularly around the Abenaki, we're all the way up into the theory of action and goal statement, which is replace that with different cultural, multiple culturals. I think that was more of like a such as.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that needs to be a such as and not including.
Okay.
Because one of the things I've come to learn Marianne, for myself in coming and working here is, when I first came 5 years ago, my assumption would have been all the Abenaki are mainly up in the Siskoy Valley School District. And what I've learned is, we have about between 21 and 25% of our families here have ties to the Abenaki. And that was a big learning for myself. But I think it's more of a such as, so.
I would also throw in race and ethnicity to highlight the fact that they're different.
Where are you talking, sorry?
In the second bullet point in the first column, race, ethnicity, ability, gender identity, just to emphasize that race and ethnicity are not synonyms.
Yeah.
And gender identity, probably use some sort of definition as well.
Okay. Yeah, and then, so we can define those. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Leah. Sorry I missed you guys too. And I'll be doing it tomorrow too. I'll talk to you later. Anything else on this page? Okay. That's what I have on the back were just some suggested next steps for the board and for the community is to keep a lot of this next step is strategic plan design committee, allow them to come back 3 times a year and look at cycles, look at where we're at and how are we doing with this plan. Along with the board doing the same thing, which you said is a board goal. It's just a way of having more people ensuring we're doing what we're saying we're planning to do.
Okay, having heard all that, I would like to have a motion to table the strategic plan.
I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion, come on.
Thank you. Anyone else? Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Probably not. Okay, we're going to take a roll call vote. Amanda, this is to table for next meeting.
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Nikuma?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Another votes yes. So we will table that. That was a good exercise to go through.
I think it was too. Thank you so much for asking for that. I think it's going to make a stronger plan.
Okay, moving on to new business. So graduation timeline and board attendance. Does anybody on the board, and this just for my knowledge, have someone who is either graduating 8th grade or graduating high school this year? HS?
Yeah,
Okay.
8th grade, state tech.
So you definitely want to go to the BFA
Yeah.
graduation. Otherwise, if no one's graduating 8th grade, you're welcome to go to whatever graduation you'd like to go, I guess. We'd like to have 1 or 2 representatives from the school board there. Unfortunately, I'd love to be there, but I can't be there this time. And there should be more than 1 person at BFA because there's a lot of diplomas and a lot of people, and it's kind of a long time standing and flipping them around and stuff. And, I mean, Mary Ann, if you're Fairfield rep, you might want to be that person.
Yeah.
And Joanna also, I know you've done it before. I'm not trying to put ideas in your head, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then if other people would like to be the others, I think you need to just tell Erin.
For the BFA graduation or for?
For all of them. So if you look at your agenda, it says that June 13th
June
is
13th is the
city
school.
school
Yeah.
at 5 o'clock, and Fairfield at 6 o'clock, and St. Tech at 6:30. And then BFA is not until June 15th. So you're all welcome, as long as you spread out. We don't need like all of us at one board meeting, one graduation, but it's really great. You know, it's a good feeling. It makes you sort of be part of the whole thing. So,
Jess, I'm just going to sorry, to put you on the spot a little bit, but since you have a daughter graduating 8th grade, would you like to be up there as part of the recognition, or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I can take
Some parents it's worked well, and some parents it hasn't.
Yeah.
So I always like to be.
Oh, you have one in each?
No, just SATEC.
Oh, okay, thank you. I made a mistake, I thought you might be a fan.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Is there, I heard Joanna and Marianne for Fairfield. I think I saw some communication to Aaron right now, but we'd like to know because we're gonna put people's names in the program.
I asked him to send an email out so we can return back on email with him.
Okay, that's not bad, that's
Yeah,
not
so
bad.
there's a chain, we know who's gonna be there.
I can be at the VFA graduation.
That'd be great.
I can also be at.
You writing this down, Erin?
I'm gonna be at
And I think I heard Joanna say BFA also. Is that true?
Yeah, I would do BFA. I mean, if there's 15 people, I don't need to go, but I'm happy to go.
We've had as many as 3, I
Yeah,
think, before,
we've had 3.
easily.
I can also go to the city school graduations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so, Erin, when you get that all sifted out, can you just send a quick email letting us know what it shook out to so people can let you know that is indeed what they agreed to? Thank you. Okay, again, new business here, letter B. This is another announcement, but just to make sure they've got it straight in their brain. The last day of school for students. This is the expected last day for school.
That's set, it's been well announced. This is 17.
I know that,
Okay.
but you know, we could have a snow day.
No more. We're done.
Just, you know, it's June 17th, it's on the agenda, so I'm just reading through it.
Okay.
Like I was asked to do. Okay, next item C is the St. Augustine Educational Center floor renovation bid award. Again, this is an action item, so I'd like a motion to award the bid for the St. Augustine Educational Center floor renovation project to Future Floors in the amount of $81,905. Can I have a motion for that, please? Thanks, Charlie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Jeff. We have a motion and a second. Bree, is there any discussion related to that one?
So this is just going to be paid out of the local budget. So that's all.
Okay.
And it's planned renovation.
Yes.
Floors have a certain life, and
Yeah.
so there's always a schedule in every building to replace floors.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, we're going to do a vote by roll. So Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Joanna. Thank you.
Yes, sorry.
Carly,
Yes.
Marianne,
Yes.
Nikuma,
Yes.
Suzanne,
Yes.
and Nilda votes yes. Okay, so, next item is building trade site. So, in our contract with all the staff, I guess, professional staff and ESP, we are not allowed to have any video or audio cameras in any of the classrooms. There's been an issue with some theft, I think, at the building trades section. So Bill has worked with the association, and we are recommending a side letter recommending a side letter to approve the building trades structure use of audiovisual recording. And so I would like a motion to approve the building trades structure use of audiovisual recording side letter, which you have in your packet as attachment 8D.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion or updates or anything? This is pretty standard side letter stuff when we're deviating from the contract for needed reasons. So we're going to vote, I guess.
Do we have any
Oh,
other?
sorry.
So we don't have cameras outside, we have cameras outside the school.
We do, we don't have them in instructional places. So they're in the hallways, they're out on the outside. This is specifically putting it in the building trades instructional spaces.
That's like indoors and outdoors.
So I wasn't clear on that. We're not videotaping teachers teaching. What I meant to say. This would be a deviation from that, because we haven't been that good. 24/7, right? You just have them, you have. Any other questions?
Just, I guess clarification, but I think it spells out pretty clear in the letter that it's not to be utilized for supervision or evaluation of professional staff. So basically, we would, well, we wouldn't be doing anything, but the folks who are checking the film would be looking at the camera, at it basically, if there's a theft, they would be reviewing that, but not for any other purpose.
Yeah.
Pretty much, that's the purpose, yep. And we did have some theft that started this, and the teachers actually asked for it. They said we could use this later in the spaces.
So, we're taking roll. Vote. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Nakula?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Nilda votes yes. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, review of mission and vision. And look at attachment 8E as necessary, or look around the room. So I'm going to let Bill speak to this, but I can't let her speak to it.
Okay.
I could do it, but go ahead.
So you can see it up on the wall there. You have it in your packet as well. We've spent the past 2 years looking at district goals and working with the community on district goals and now a strategic plan, which we did a nice thorough review of tonight. We'll get those updates for the next meeting. But I have a question for the board. And my question, and I've really had this question, I will admit, I've had it for the 5 years I've been here. When I look, and I can get technical. I want you to understand, I've done a lot of work on mission and vision in my career. And to me, a vision is the goal that you want to obtain for the organization. And the mission is how are you going to do that work to obtain the goal. So when I look at our current, it's called a mission, and I'll read it to you. The Maple Rhine Unified School District is where inquiring minds, compassionate hearts, creative expression, healthy lives, and service to the community develop so all can learn, achieve, and succeed. My question for you as a board, is that statement in alignment with our current goals and strategic plan that's on the table to be approved? If it is, so be it. And this is the board's authority. It's not something that really comes from anyone else. And you've had a lot of public involvement in the goals and the strategic plan. If it isn't in alignment, I would suggest that we start looking at this. You've got plenty of input from all that work, but how do you get statements that are in alignment? So that's my question to you. I don't feel I can answer that. I feel that you can answer that. And you could get input on others if you think you want input from others, but I wanted to ask the board first about that.
I actually think as we're changing the strategic plan and our goals, it'd be nice to actually update the mission to fit what's going on. So I feel like within the last, at least me being involved in the last couple of years, we've progressed so much, changed so much, and so I think it'd be kind of nice to have a new mission for the school district as we move forward.
Yeah, that's true. That mission statement was written really early in the consolidation process.
We're changing a lot, and so it's going to be nice to have maybe a fresh start in that aspect.
Bill, can you restate what you picture the mission versus the vision to be again, please?
Yes,
I
so
think I missed.
that's okay. The vision is what we want to accomplish.
Yes, the future.
Yep, the future. The mission is how we do our work to get to that vision.
Today. Okay.
I always think of the vision as the what, and the mission is the how.
Mm-hmm. How we're doing the work today.
How we're doing the work to get to that vision. How are we doing?
And the vision is what do we want to do in the future?
Yeah. Like, I can give you some simple examples. There's a lot of examples out there of missions and visions for a school district. And some really keen people have said, like, it's not so much the statement, is that you have everyone together developing it, which we've done a lot of that with strategic plan and the goals, so I feel like a lot of that's there. But it's also that it's all in alignment that's important. So
Sure.
a simple vision is all kids will succeed. Could be vague,
Right.
not that fine, but I'm just giving you some easy ones. The mission can be, we will support all students, we will help all students succeed by caring, empathetic adults who set rigorous standards for every student. And I'm just making this up, I'm not saying that's what it is, I'm just trying to give you some,
Yeah.
that's how we do the work.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to update it and incorporate all the new goals and language that we've been working on. So it's all in alignment. And the way this mission statement reads, it's almost more like the vision, right? It's not, it's kind of the end result. It's not how we're doing it.
It's sort of a blend of.
Yeah.
It's long.
Right.
Well, in terms of like the big part of the mission statement that I focus on is actually the short as the word is, specifically because if Maple Run Unified School District is where that's implying that, grammatically that's implying that the mission is done, and that's the way things are. And I think if we're going to look at revising it, one of the big goals would be to make the mission more of an active thing with the recognition that we're not going, it's never going to be perfect. We are striving to improve the school district in these ways.
So this was a really arduous process. Mission statement together was out of the round. And I think what Bill said the other day when we were talking is we can probably do a mission and a vision a whole lot easier now because we have all this work in the strategic plan and some of the district goals that we can incorporate in it all. So it's not going to be like as arduous.
Yeah, I'm not offering my feedback as a criticism of the existing mission statement, but as a, if we're going to revise it, this is how I'd like to see it done.
No, but you could imagine how crazy it is. You got a bunch of people, first of all, aren't too thrilled with where we ended up trying to come up with a mission.
Oh yeah, right after the consolidation, I'm sure that was a breeze.
It was fun.
So what my suggestion, to the board is that we could talk about the next meeting. We could bring a suggested process for us as a board to do this. From all the input that we have, we could actually go get some of that input if you wanted to relook at it. It's been whittled down to the goals and strategic plan. And then say, okay, what are some of the big, we could do a little bit of what we did tonight. What are some of the big words in here that you think that are really important about how we do our work and what we're looking to have all kids, all our students be at the end of their pre-K-12 career? And then we could have a couple rounds of that, I think, as a board, and probably by the start of school, we'll have something that has some new statements that you could look at.
Right.
Wordsmithing's always tough in a group, but I think it's important that this, at least the board, all the members of the board feel like, hey, yeah, those are the right words from all that feedback we received.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Okay, we have a plan for mission and vision. Well, we have a plan to have a plan. 9, other business warrants. Looking for a motion to approve the warrants, acknowledging that passage of this motion will act as authorization and signature of any individual board member participating remotely. Excuse me. Can I have that motion, please?
I'll make the motion. Come on.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion related to the warrants? No? Okay, perfect. We're going to do a roll vote. Amanda?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Takuma?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Amanda votes yes. Warrants are approved. Superintendent's report.
Just putting that last signature and then when these are all done. It's really only been a week since we last met because we had the school vacation in between. So I don't have a lot of updates for you. I do want to say to you that, and I said this a little bit last meeting, but I was saying this to a colleague today. I was with some other superintendents, and we were talking about what's been kind of going on in the state between the secretary process that's been happening for the Secretary of Education and the school house yield and all that. And I think that's important for board members and myself to stay up to date with. But my colleague was getting all kind of flustered about it. I said, you know, I hear you that these are important, but I've been kind of looking at it as I've got a lot more important work to do back in my district where my energy should go. I think that's a long way of me saying that these are important things, but I don't know how much impact they'll have on us. They will economically, obviously, with the yield bill and with the secretary, there can be some new work to be done. But I don't know. And I'm choosing to put my focus on the work here in Maple Run. And that's what I'm trying to suggest to most of my superintendent colleagues when I've been in a meeting today down in Montpelier and I have another one tomorrow, that we can get ourselves all riled, but I think there's more things our students need to have our focus on. So I would tell you to stay up on it. Don't lose focus on it because there's a lot that's going on. But I don't think it's worth wasting a lot of energy about right now. And I'm just saying that from my own professional piece. And I'm trying to focus on what's here in Maple Run.
Thank you.
And I'll keep you up to date if I see anything that I think should be done.
I would agree with that. I would think it's very important to know what's going on in Montpelier.
Yeah.
And if you, it isn't fun. And I've learned how to read a lot of bills, but it's interesting, and I think everyone would learn a lot more if you just took the time.
Yeah.
You do get those communications from the Vermont School Board
Yeah.
Association, which try to
Yeah.
put it in school board language
Yeah.
for us.
And for those of you who don't know, the analyst that does the work for Vermont School Boards does the same analysis for Vermont Principals Association and for the Vermont Superintendents. So they actually hire one analyst to do all that. There are other people that help that analysis, not just one person, but it's the same.
All right, so board announcement. I wanted to know if anybody has any announcements.
May 10th, Fairfield is having their Maple Talk project going on. I forget the time though. Joanne, do you know the time?
No, Project Sweet Talk?
Yeah, Project Sweet Talk.
Okay. No, I'm sure you can go right into school. Oh, maybe you can't go into
Yeah,
school.
it's a breakfast. The kids do a breakfast. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna be out of town, so.
It's usually all day, there's different
Yeah.
things going on. They start with breakfast and
So,
usually goes all day.
get some good maple syrup up
I
there.
wouldn't be surprised if there's a plant sale going with it as well.
Yeah.
Did MPU's budget?
No.
I don't think so.
Or Enosburg, I think Enosburg.
Enosburg lost theirs as well. And, I mean, right now, there are 3 budgets passed in the county. Ours, Fletcher, and the mountain towns, which is big. I may miss one, so please. It's Bakersfield, Sheldon, maybe you can help me join that group of schools.
Montgomery and Berkshire.
Montgomery, thank you.
I was actually asked today if MVU's budget didn't pass, does that mean we get to vote ours over? No, no.
No takesy backs.
I guess people have some misinformation as to what happens when a budget isn't passed, you know, that's the next step, so, anyway.
Actually,
Go ahead.
on that point, something to think about when we go through the process to get the next budget passed is it might be useful to explain what to folks what happens if the budget is voted down. It's not a now we're, it's not a, the town doesn't have to pay taxes or anything like that. It's, quite a process.
Wasn't there, didn't it also go down go out for a loan for two? There's two parts to what I wrote down in.
I'd have to find out. I will say that there were at least 5 that I know of budgets that did pass.
Yeah.
So that was good news. We're starting to see more pass.
Yeah, I mean, we feel the pain for people rather than any other board announcements? Okay, agenda for future meetings. I have 2 things. One of them is the class size policy. I think we mentioned it at the last meeting, but we need to bring that forward to be able to begin our work with looking at what you guys are looking at regarding sizes and future classroom.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about that, I want to say almost 2 months ago. The end of March was, what are we looking at? After the close budget vote, what was our reflection? And one of the things the board has to do is start to look at places for efficiency, and class sizes was something that you brought up, so.
And it's pretty, the policy is pretty non-specific too, so it needs to be looked at. And then, of course, the mission, vision, suggested processes. And that's all I have on here. Anyone else have anything? Yes, sir.
I would like a review of the board meeting dates over the summer, because I know that changes a little bit from the 1st and 3rd and all that.
Yeah.
I think I've got it somewhere, but to have a review, these are the dates for June, July, and August, just.
We're trying not to do July, is how I think it was, but we're.
Well, whatever it is, just.
We can look at it again.
Yeah,
Sure.
thanks.
Publish it, so we know what we've
Yeah.
got. All right, anything else? Any other business to come before the board? Hearing none, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at, what's the magic time? Magic time is 7:27. Thank you all for coming.